Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
The situation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo in the case of the prosecutor versus Bosco Ntaganda. Case reference ICC 0104-0206. We are in open session.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to welcome the parties, the participants, Mr. Bosco Ntaganda, the accused. I also welcome those who are watching this hearing from the public gallery. Now I ask for appearances, and I would appreciate if lead counsels introduce themselves and members of their team, starting with prosecution. Madam Prosecutor, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the Office of the Prosecutor is represented in this matter by Nicole Sampson, Senior Trial Lawyer, Diane Looping, Trial Lawyer, Eric Iverson, Trial Lawyer, Julieta Solano, Trial Lawyer, Rens van der Werf, Assistant Trial Lawyer, Pascal Tourlon, Judicial Cooperation Advisor, Abdul Aziz Mbaye, International Cooperation Advisor, Selam Yurgu, Case Manager, Mr. President, and myself, Fatou Bensouda, Prosecutor.
Thank you very much, Madam Prosecutor. Now, defense, please.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président. Bonjour, Madame et Messieurs les juges, ainsi que toutes les personnes présentes dans la salle d'audience. Il me fait plaisir de vous présenter l'équipe qui représentera Bosco Ntaganda au cours de ce procès. Monsieur Denis Mickelson, stagiaire en droit. Mademoiselle Margot Portier, gestionnaire de dossier. Maître Chloé Grandon. Maître William Saint-Michel. Maître Luc Boutin. Et moi-même, Maître Stéphane Bourgon. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Bourgon. And finally, legal representatives of victims, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, Madame et Monsieur les juges. Le groupe des anciens enfants soldats est représenté par moi-même, Sarah Pellet, conseil au bureau du Conseil public pour les victimes, par Mohamed Abdou, qui est juste derrière moi, et par maître Franck Moulenda, qui malheureusement, pour des raisons médicales, n'a pas pu être présent aujourd'hui.
Bonjour Monsieur le Président, Madame, Monsieur le juge. Les victimes des attaques contre la population civile sont représentées par le Bureau du Conseil public pour les victimes, Anne Grabowski, juriste associée, Chérine Luzaizou, conseil sur le terrain, et moi-même, Dimitri Souproun, conseil.
Thank you, both of you, and for the sake of completeness, I have to add that Trial Chamber 6 of the International Criminal Court is composed of Judge Kuniko Ozaki on my right, Judge Chang-ho Chung on my left, and myself, Judge Robert Fremr. We are here today for the opening of the trial in the case of the prosecutor against Mr. Bosco Ntaganda. Today, after the charges are read to the accused, we will first hear the opening statement of the prosecution. This statement is going to be followed, probably tomorrow morning, by the opening statements of the two legal representatives of victims. And after that, the defense will present its opening statement that may or may not include an unsworn statement of Mr. Ntaganda. But before that, as a preliminary matter, the Chamber will recall some key moments of these proceedings so far. On 22nd August 2006 and 13th July 2012, 2 warrants of arrest were issued for Mr. Ntaganda for war crimes and crimes against humanity allegedly committed in the Ituri district in the Democratic Republic of Congo in 2002 and 2003. Having voluntarily surrendered on 22nd March 2013, Mr. Ntaganda was transferred to the court for his first appearance on 26 March 2013. Then, on 9 June 2014, Pretrial Chamber 2 confirmed the charges against Mr. Ntaganda. On 18 July 2014, the Presidency constituted Trial Chamber 6 and referred to it this case. Since then, the Chamber, along with the parties and participants, has conducted the preparatory work that led to today's opening of trial. During this phase, the Chamber also set out the procedure for the admission of victims to participate in trial. To date, 2,159 victims were admitted to participate in the proceedings. On 16 February 2015, in accordance with a decision of the Chamber, the prosecution filed an updated document containing the charges. On 19 March 2015, the Chamber recommended to the ICC Presidency that the opening be held in Bunia in the Democratic Republic of Congo. However, the Presidency, after consideration of all factors at stake, decided that the potential benefits of holding proceedings in Bunia were outweighed by heightened concerns for the safety and well-being of victims and witnesses, as well as the increased logistical difficulties of holding this part of the trial in Bunia. On 2 June 2015, the Chamber issued a decision on the conduct of proceedings, whereby it adopted directions for the conduct of the proceedings, the presentation of evidence, and the modalities of victims' participation. In that decision, the Chamber also directed the parties to raise any objections or observations within the meaning of Rule 134, Para 2, by 15th June 2015. The Chamber further notes that no such objections or observations were raised, but it is needless to add that the defense filed just yesterday an application on behalf of Mr. Ntaganda challenging the jurisdiction of the court in respect of counts 9 and 6 of the document containing the charges. The prosecution still has to file its response, and afterwards the Chamber will adjudicate this matter in due course. At the end of this brief summary, before turning to the reading of the charges, I would like to express the Chamber's appreciation for the hard work of both parties, the legal representatives of victims and the registry during the preparatory phase of this trial, and for the efforts made to maintain timelines consistent with the fair and expeditious conduct of proceedings in accordance with Article 64, Para 2. And I confirm that the Chamber will do its best to continue in the same way. In accordance with Article 64, Para 8, Sub A of the Rome Statute, the charges will now be read to Mr. Ntaganda, following which he will be invited to enter his plea. I note that on 29th June 2015, Mr. Ntaganda filed a declaration of understanding of the charges. In this declaration, Mr. Ntaganda confirmed that he is duly informed in detail of the nature, cause, and content of the charges against him, and that he consented that only the charges section of the updated document containing the charges, namely section H2, be read out today. Mr. Bourgon, please, could you just confirm what I just have said on behalf of your client once more for the record?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Au nom de Monsieur Bosco Ntaganda, je confirme exactement les propos qui viennent d'être émis par la Chambre. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bougon. So now, court officer, please read the summary of the charges as contained in the charges section of the updated document containing the charges. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Count 1, murder and attempted murder of civilians, a crime against humanity, punishable pursuant to Articles 7.1a, as well as 25.3a, direct perpetration and or indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, 25.3f, or 28a, in Banyali Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu, Pluto, and Zebi, Sayo, and Kilo, and in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Kobu, Sengi, Bembu, Lipri, Sili, Ngongo, and Jichu. Count 2, murder and attempted murder of civilians, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8.2c1, as well as 25.3a, direct perpetration and or indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, 25.3f, or 28a, in Banyali Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu, Pluto, and Zebi, Sayo, and Kilo, and in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Kobu, Sengi, Bembu, Lipri, Sili, Ngongo, and Jichu. Count 3, attacks against a civilian population, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8.2e1, as well as 25.3a, direct perpetration and or indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a, in Banyali Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu and Sayo, and in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Bambu, Kobu, Lipri, Jichu, Camp PM, Buli, Juba, Sengi, Etsili, Kato, Gola, Mpetsi Petsi, Avetso, Nyangarai, Pili, Minjo, Langa, Diallo, Wada, Goy, Depka, Mbijo, Tali, and Ngabuli. Count 4, rape of civilians, a crime against humanity, punishable pursuant to Article 7.1g, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a, in Banyali Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu, Kilo, and Sayo, and in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Lipri, Kobu, Bembu, Sengi, and Buli. Count 5, rape of civilians, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8.2e6, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a, in Banyali Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu, Kilo, and Sayo, and in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Lipri, Kobu, Bembu, Sengi, and Buli. Count 6, rape of UPC FPLC child soldiers, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8.2e6, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a. Count 7, sexual slavery of civilians, a crime against humanity, punishable pursuant to Article 7.1g, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a, in Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Kobu, Sengi, Buli, Jitsu, and Ngabuli. Count 8, sexual slavery of civilians, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8.216, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a, in Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Kobu, Sengi, Buli, Jitsu, and Ngabuli. Count 9, sexual slavery of UPC FPLC child soldiers, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8.2e6, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a. Count 10, persecution on ethnic grounds, a crime against humanity, punishable pursuant to 7.1h, as well as 25.3a, direct perpetration and or indirect co-perpetration. Direct perpetration and or indirect co-perpetration. 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a, in Banyali Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu, Pluto, Nzebi, Sayo, and Kilo, and in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Kobu, Sengi, Bembu, Lipri, Etsili, Ngongo, Jitsu, Buli, Nyangarai, Gutsi, Kemp PM, Juba, Kato, Gola, Mpetsi Petsi, Avetso, Pili, Minjo, Langa, Diallo, Wada, Goy, Depka, Mbijo, Tali, and Ngabuli. Count 11, pillaging, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8.2e5, as well as 25.3a, direct perpetration and or indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a, in Mongwalu and in the Banyali Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu and Sayo. Pillaging, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8.2e5, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a, in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Bembu, Kobu, Lipri, and Jitsu. Count 12, forcible transfer of population, a crime against humanity, punishable pursuant to Articles 7.1d, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a, in Mongwalu and in the Banyali Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu and Nzebi. Forcible transfer of population, a crime against humanity, punishable pursuant to Articles 7.1d, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3d1 or 2, or 28a, in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Lipri, Kobu, Bembu, Nyangarai, Tsili, Buli, Jichu, and Gutsi. Count 13. Displacement of civilians, a war crime punishable pursuant to Articles 8 to E8, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d 1 or 2, or 28a, in Mongwalu and the Banyali Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu and Nzebi. Displacement of civilians, a war crime punishable pursuant to Articles 8 to E8, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3d 1 or 2, or 28a, in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Lipri, Kobu, Bembu, Nyangarai, Etsili, Buli, Jichu, and Gutsi. Count 14. Conscription of children under the age of 15, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8 to E7, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3d 1 or 2, or 28a. Count 15. Enlistment of children under the age of 15, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8 to E7, 25.3a, direct perpetration and or indirect co-perpetration, 25.3d 1 or 2, or 28a. Count 16. Use of children under the age of 15 to participate actively in hostilities, a war crime punishable to Article 8 to E7, as well as 25.3a, direct perpetration and or indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d 1 or 2, or 28a. Count 17. Attacks against protected objects, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8 to E4, as well as 25.3a, direct perpetration and or indirect co-perpetration, 25.3b, 25.3d 1 or 2, or 28a, in Mongwalu and the Banyali Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu and Sayo. Attacks against protected object, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8 to E4, as well as 25.3d 1 or 2, or 28a, in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Bembu. Count 18, destruction of property, a war crime punishable pursuant to Article 8 to E12, as well as 25.3a, indirect co-perpetration, 25.3d 1 or 2, or 28a, in Banyani Kilo collectivité, in or around Mongwalu and Sayo, and in the Walendu Jatsi collectivité, in or around Kobu, Lipri, Bembu, Camp PM, Buli, Jichu, Juba, Sengi, Etsili, Kato, Gola, Mpetsi Petsi, Avetso, Nyangarai, Pili, Minjo, Longa, Diallo, Wada, Goy, Depka, Mbijo, Tali, and Ngabuli.
Thank you very much, court officer. Now we move to taking the plea, and I have two questions in this regard to Mr. Bougon. First one, Mr. Bougon, can you please confirm that you have explained to Mr. Ntaganda his right to plead either guilty or not guilty to the charges?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je confirme que j'ai eu l'occasion d'expliquer personnellement à Bosco Ntaganda qu'il pouvait plaider coupable ou non coupable à toutes les accusations. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you. And my second question, Mr. Bugo, I can ask a client to plead guilty or not guilty to each of 18 counts he is charged with, one by one, but if the position of your client is the same to each count, then he could be asked for his plea on all counts together, rather than to conduct the, I would call it, fastidious exercise of reading them out separately and asking him 18 times. So there are two alternatives. Which of them do you prefer?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. La position de M. Bosco Ntaganda est la même pour les 18 chefs d'accusation. Je propose, Monsieur le Président, que la question lui soit posée en bloc pour tous les chefs en une seule question. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. So then, Mr. Bosco Ntaganda, please rise. Mr. Bosco Ntaganda, I am asking you, do you plead guilty or not guilty to each of those 18 counts you are charged with? Thank you very much, Mr. Ntaganda. You may sit down.